at Thug and I'm saying, man, this is very strange. What about Gunna's plea? What
Yeah.
information do you have about that?
So it's different from Tick's plea deal, where Tick took an actual plea agreement that required him to testify, and same with DK, who we've been hearing about, Walter Murphy, which apparently he's supposed to be testifying soon. And I'm like, oh, that should be good. But Gunna's plea is completely different in that he's not required to testify, and it's actually an Alfred plea, which is named after like the defendant who first took the plea, where it's like a guilty plea, but you're not actually admitting guilt. You're just admitting that if you took it to trial, there is enough evidence that you could be convicted. So it's not the same as just straight up pleading guilty. So just the fact that he has an Alfred plea and the fact that he isn't required to testify, I don't think we're going to see him testify. And if anything, I kind of think the defense could call him as their own witness, because they could go over the same questions that they went over with Tick, where basically show that he had all these different reasons for pleading guilty or taking an Alfred plea, and that he's not actually guilty and he doesn't want to testify and he thinks the case is bullshit too.
That
But
is a good
yeah,
conversation.
I
Do
kind
we
of think we
take
won't see him though. I bet he doesn't testify at all.
Yeah, but that's a good conversation. Can Gunna redeem himself by going in and testifying for Thug? Because he's taking a culture hit for taking this plea.
And I personally think it's a little unfair to him, because it's like they just assume that he's snitching, and like all the conversation is about whether he's snitching. It's like he took a plea so he could get out of jail, and same with Tick. I mean, to say what Tick did was more snitching than Gunna, just because he's required to testify. But it's like, what is he supposed to do? Just stay in jail for the next like years of his life and just take one for the team? And I don't even think he really said that much incriminating about.
But see what I think the thinking behind that is that we assume the government to never do anything for no reason. So they had to had you come up there and do that for something. Now, if it's not the traditional telling, did that help? Is that going to help them with the Okay, so what the streets is saying is that they're trying to identify if this is a gang, and part of the stipulation was him identifying it as a gang.
Yeah, and that was pretty, because there is that part of his plea deal where he's, or his agreement where he says, it became a gang. I'm sorry I was part of it and it needs to end, or something like that.
Right,
So if the defense was to put him on the stand, of course the prosecutors would be asking him about that. Be like,
right.
okay, you say you were pressured to take this, but still you said all this bad stuff in there, right? So I think it's mostly just likely that he doesn't testify. But I just kind of feel for these people who are put in this position, because I mean, especially Trontavious Stevens, like you could tell he does not want to get Young Thug in trouble. Like he goes way back with Young Thug and made a point of meeting with Brian Steele, and kind of telling some tall tales about his gang tattoos and stuff, because he wants to kind of keep with Thug's story. But the idea that he should just not take a plea deal and go on trial too, where Brian Steele did a good job of going over like all the reasons he took a plea deal, and it was hugely financial. Like his grandma paid like $50,000 for some lawyer, and they wanted to take it to trial, but then the lawyer couldn't do the trial because it's kind of Fulton County's fault for putting on this crazy long case that, like, I mean, lawyers have to just earn a living and have a business. So the idea that just one lawyer can just devote themselves to a trial for 3 years. So apparently this guy's wife had cancer or whatever, but Tick didn't even get all his money back because the lawyer had already done a bunch of stuff in the case. So I think he said that his grandma got like $30,000 back, or 20, and then went and hired another lawyer who negotiated the plea deal. But you just kind of feel for the guy. I mean, Thug is able to have Brian Steele and basically have unlimited resources from, I think the record label is helping fund that
Right.
too.
He got a lot of help. He's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but Tick was just kind of like screwed. And I remember Brian Steele asked him about his three baby mamas. I mean, imagine being in jail. He has three kids with three women, and two of them are 8-year-olds, two
Oh,
different
man.
women. And yeah, and Brian Steele was like, when you were in jail, were you able to provide resources to your kids and their mothers? And he's like, no. It's like, yeah, I mean, he just gonna stay in there forever?
But it's something to hang your mans though. Like it's like to help. It's like, man, it's something to go with that. Now I'll say this about the Gunner scenario.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would have rejected that plea agreement And then I would have sent my lawyers back in there and says, hey, if he would have signed that paper, they would have let him out. Can he at least get a bond? Because the day before you sign this paper, you say he's one of the most dangerous people in the world. And then
Yeah.
the next day I sign the paper, I get to go home. So
Yeah.
Your they'll
Yeah.
let me go home, please. Like, so now give me a bond instead of me signing and saying that.
That's interesting. And if anyone would be in a position to do that, it would be Gunna. Because I mean, yeah, he's not like Tick and relying on Tick's grandma
Right.
to fund his lawyer. He would have been able to do that. His lawyer is actually the same guy who's currently representing Donald Trump, Steve Sado.
Oh,
He
yeah.
represented Gunna in his case. So, but I mean, they're probably just like, is it going to get any better than this? Can't get bail. I don't know. It just shows how much power these prosecutors have. Like they can
Yeah,
bring these charges and you're kind of fucked.
I think Gunner has actually felt this though. I think this has affected him. Like to get out and the way it happened and all of that. I think this is took
Yeah.
a toll on dude. You know what I'm
Like
saying? But
his do you think it's affected like his career and like rap career?
yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from It's Up There podcast. To see the rest of the interview, click one of the boxes on the screen. Also, join Discord and Patreon to be in our community.